Well, the Millennium Development Goals is probably the key file that you are working on in the UN system, UNESCO and all our sister organizations. And you know that there are 8 goals, and there is progress on some areas, but it's not a one fight yet. Last week, UNESCO launched from Paris our Global Monitoring Report on Education for All, which is the best set of statistics measuring progresses or challenges in the field of education. And putting every kid in primary school in 2015, we are far from there. There's still 60 million of kids which are out of school today, and we really need the efforts of everybody. And that is why I think it's important, especially important, to work with young people for several reasons. Young people are the leaders, the opinion leaders, the decision makers of tomorrow in the public sector, in the private sector, in civil society. And there is an immense commitment and enthusiasm coming from the young people. I could feel it here today, for instance, once again. And another reason is that young people are much stronger than my generation with information technologies. I'm surprised to see all of you, and I see my son and his friends, how literate you are in those new technologies. And we do know that those new technologies, information technologies, are part of the solution. They make solutions cheaper, they allow us to work forward in nearly all of the Millennium Development Goals. I was reading in the newspapers last weekend, for instance, that 70% of the African population today has access to a mobile phone. A few years ago, before the mobile phone technology, it was 0.7% of the African population had access to a telephone. So now with this broad access to mobile phone technology, not only is communication between people improved, but they also, African countries are leaders. They are really creating new solutions in the field of banking on mobile phone. And what I say for mobile phone is true for education. Girls and women's education. It's much easier to access girls and women's who in many countries still have to remain at home and work at home through their mobile phone to allow them, to progress and learn new things. So women empowerment is also facilitated by those new technologies. And we talked about new media, young journalists, documenting and raising the public opinion in the world about big problems, environmental problems, cultural crimes in Mali, and all sorts of problems. It is also facilitated by information technology. So young people, yes, as the decision makers of tomorrow in the various fields of society, but also because your generation and the generation after you are really the first generation which is completely literate as far as the new technologies are concerned. And that's a big plus in all our efforts, our common efforts towards the Millennium Development Goals. So we work, as your friend and friends who are listening to us today know very well, we are the UN agency in charge of education, culture, science, and communication, free media, press, media. And what do we do in those fields? We do capacity building, helping mainly governments in developing countries to elaborate and implement better policies in the field of culture, education, science, and media. And I do believe that's extremely important for young people to be associated with that. Associated at the multilateral level, with UNESCO, with other United Nations partners, it's extremely important that young people give us their inputs. We do organize sorts of young youth forums regularly. The next one will be in New York in April. We are working on it to make sure that young people can influence the agenda of development after post-2015. And also at the local level, in the government's level, UNESCO makes sure that young people also have their voice, that your opinion counts and can be integrated in the democratic decision-making process. For instance, in the field of education, we train the people from ministries of education in Africa, which are in charge of school curriculums. And we've got an institute in Paris where every year, perhaps 200 people get a training in that and go back to their country and then can implement better school curriculums. And part of that is, of course, this dialogue with young people and how can ideas from young people be integrated in this new generation of school curriculums. Well, congratulations to all of them, to your winners, and thank you very much for giving us all those ideas. And the message would be, keep talking with everybody, because the world needs to know better about your ideas. And an event like this one is already a big tool to have those ideas better known. UNESCO is also a tool, and I'm going to try, and you're trying with my colleagues as well. There are many other possibilities to get those ideas, those innovative ideas to be better known and better integrated in, for instance, in the UN system.